You're exposed to about 100 marketing messages a day and consciously forget almost all of them. So how do you get your business to stand out and cut through the noise? It's day 7, and if you're new here, I'm Craig Dew, and 0 to 1 million follows the business growth of RevLevers, our business, and how we help vegan Shopify stores with education-based branding. So let's jump into it. Yesterday we talked about the ideal customer, and you really have to start there and think about if you've got the wrong message for the wrong person, it's never going to work, all right? So you could have the most convincing marketing message about a program to help women with menopause, but if you put it in front of me, it's not going to work because I'm not going to go through menopause, I hope, scientifically. And so right message needs to be put in front of the right person, and otherwise it's never going to work, no matter how good your marketing is. Second point quickly is kind of the delivery, to make sure that you've got a product that people actually want. People try to put a whole bunch of great marketing on top of products that aren't that great, and they think they have a marketing problem. Often they have a product problem instead. So Seth Godin talks about in his book Meatball Sunday a good visual of this. And so if you're cooking a meatball and you put your nice meatball in the dish and that kind of thing, that's your product, and then putting ice cream on top of it is like your marketing. And many people are trying to make this product and make it taste really good by adding all this marketing on top of it, but a meatball sundae is never going to taste good. You need to make sure that you've got a great product in the beginning, and marketing is kind of baked into that. And so I always like to use the Dan Kennedy question. So why should I do business with you, including over all other alternatives, including doing nothing at all? So why should I do business with you over all other alternatives, including doing nothing at all? And so that really talks to uniqueness of why your business exists, and you're different to your competitors. And there's not just like a sense of competition, but why should you exist? Like, your business isn't there just to make you money. Your business is to provide something that people can't get from anywhere else. And we'll talk about that. It comes into a little bit in the messaging that we're going to use, but you've really got to think about that in terms of your product. And so it needs to be unique or appear unique in some way as well. And there's pros and cons on the psychology of that as well. So appear unique is not about tricking people. You actually can provide more value by the appearance of uniqueness. And so there's interesting scientific studies about that, about bottles of wine, and people vote the cheapest wine as crap and the most expensive wine as being the best, even though it's all the same bottle of wine across it. There's a whole bunch of, like, placebo effect would be a great example as well. Sometimes our belief in a product is actually what brings more value to it. So that's all interesting as well. So hence, appearing unique isn't just like tricking people. It's technically it's psychologically tricking people, but it's tricking them in a way that provides more value in a subconscious way, I guess. And the other thing to think about is being a category of one. And so the books like Star Principle by Richard Koch is my favorite book on this. It's a very easy read and well done, and gives you a whole bunch of prompts to think about how to position your business. Blue Ocean Strategy is written by some Harvard professors and talks about a similar thing of, rather than competing in the red ocean of competition where everyone's doing the same thing, how do you find a blue ocean which doesn't have competition in it? And that means creating a new category where your business is completely different to what everyone else is already doing. And that's really where this uniqueness thing comes in. We provide value by doing something that is unique, but it has to be unique in a valuable way for a type of customer that isn't being served in the best way by the market at the moment. So that's short version on that, but we'll talk a lot about category through this journey because it's one of my favorite ideas in business that I don't think a lot of people think about or understand. And if you're not in a category of one and you've got multiple people in your category, then you start to become a commodity, and you end up having to compete on price unless you have something that makes you the leader in that category and you can hold on to that leadership position, which is what those books are all about. So let's get into the marketing message side of things, because there's 3 things I want to talk about today. First one is the offer, second one is the positioning, and the third one is going to be the something else. I've forgotten. Oh, big idea. And so, or what I call a mental crowbar. So, offer. That is what you are giving to the market in exchange for money. So what is your value offer to someone? So if I'm going to give you a lamp, how much are you willing to pay for that lamp? Like, that is an offer in a basic sense, right? And so a good book on this is $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozi, and he breaks down, he has a value equation in there. So it's trying to find out, give people their dream outcome. So what do they really want in it? And then make sure that that's supported by the perceived likelihood of achievement. So if you're going to lose 100 pounds, what is the likelihood that I'm actually going to achieve that? Because that really makes a big difference, and that comes into positioning and stuff as well. Then you divide that by the time delay in order to get the results. So if you're going to lose 100 pounds but it's going to take you 10 years, it's not as valuable as something that 1 year, or go and get surgery and it can happen in a week plus recovery time. So, and then you've got the last bit is the effort and sacrifice that has to go into it as well. And so surgery, I show up, I go to sleep, I wake up skinny, versus I go to the gym for 10 years and work my butt off, or watch what I eat and all those kind of things. And so you're balancing all those kind of components and what you're offering to make something compelling. And you can highly recommend reading the book, but you also find, like, a lot of these books I recommend you, like the book summary and that kind of thing, will give you an idea of it. And these things are all simple on the surface because we have models and frameworks for them, but they take practice to actually learn and implement. That's what makes it complicated. And then part of the offer, he calls it an offer modifier in the book, but I like to lean on this a lot, as a guarantee as well. So if you're making a promise to someone of what you're going to be able to do, how do you back it up with a guarantee? We were marketing a gumboot brand, and everyone was like, we have the most comfortable gumboots, and it was a new style of stuff. And so if everyone's saying the same thing, it's like, well, how do you stand out? Because that's people, that was the basic offer. And so we put a guarantee on it where they could take it out for 90 days and try it on the farm and walk around in mud and all that kind of thing, and really put it to the test, which backed up the whole comfort thing that we had. And sometimes those can add a lot of value to your what you're offering. So the very famous one is from Domino's Pizza when they first got started. So I think it was hot, fresh pizza delivered to your door in 30 minutes or less, or it's free. With that, so hot and fresh pizza, that's what they're delivering, but they're guaranteeing it with that 30 minutes or it's free. And so when you're hungry and you want pizza in a hurry and you want it to get there hot, they backed it up, and the guarantee is what really made the offer, because it sounds very different. It's like hot, fresh pizza delivered to your door in 30 minutes, not quite as strong as or it's free. And so think about guarantees and how you can guarantee the dream outcome that you're going to provide, which helps with the perceived likelihood of achievement and supports that in that way as well. So offers could be a whole video, and it probably will be at some stage as we dive deeper into this, but that's what you're thinking about in terms of what you're doing. And so how do you make an offer that's like one of the quotes in the book is that Alex got from whoever gave him the idea, is how do you make an offer that's so good that the person would feel stupid saying no to it? And that's really what you've got to design in your business. And so we do that by giving away a bunch of free work in the beginning. So what would people charge for? We will do it for free, so you get to know us and make sure that you like us. And then before we get to the paid part of the component, rather than just, oh yeah, we give away a free ebook or things like that, where a lot of people do that stuff now, or what we call a lead magnet and those kind of things. So how do you kind of, going back to a long time ago, Eben Pagan was a big internet marketing kind of person. He called it pushing the free line of, like, if people are paying for this stuff, how do you make that bit free and then charge for the next bit? So it's like a lot of like content creation now. I give you a whole bunch of value for free. Hopefully you find it valuable in these videos, with the idea that I teach you these things, but they're hard to implement, and so you'll maybe want help with the implementation on them, and then you can work with us. It's not by design, it's just that's kind of the way it works. It's not like I'm holding back the secrets, it's just the stuff takes work and thinking and experience to be able to do it. It's like you can teach someone to I don't know, hit a tennis ball, but it's gonna, like, here's my free video on how to hit a tennis ball, and this is the movements that you do and everything. But it's going to take a lot of practice to go from beginner hitting a tennis ball to like playing in matches at a local club competition to a national competition to international Wimbledon level, right? There's a step there. I teach martial arts, so it's very interesting. Like I can teach the same, like a front kick, which is just you raise your foot and kick with the top of your foot, like kick someone in the groin, front kick, to a white belt. And I'm saying the same things that I am to a black belt, but a black belt will do it better because they've done the practice over and over again. And so those components of all the little nuances in it start to become simpler and simpler and simpler, and they understand that. And the same once they get black belt, second dan, third dan, etc., you get better at these things because you've done it over and over again. That's where experience comes in. And a lot of people think, oh, I'll just buy this course and then I'll learn how to do it myself. The reality is it's the practice and the repetition that actually gets you the results. Anyway, that was a tangent. Wasn't meant to be talked about today, but let's move on. Positioning is the next bit to talk about. And so think about this as the frame of where the message is coming from, because the frame is almost, I would say, more powerful than the actual message and what you're doing. So if you see the Mona Lisa and you go to the Louvre in France and you see this painting on the wall and there's big perspex, I assume it's perspex, there's things, perspex around it, and there's guards, and there's a distance from it that you have to stand away, and there's a huge crowd of people, and it's like everything else in the museum doesn't have like a big crowd of people around it. Like the positioning of that painting to be one of the best paintings in the world is built up by all those different factors. Where if you took the Mona Lisa and you gave it to like a street artist and you took it out of the frame and you put it on like the side and they're like sitting on the side of the road painting and things kind of that, and people see it, it would not be as valuable because people don't recognize it. They've done, there was I can't remember who the musician, I think it was a violinist or someone like that, where they put them in a New York subway station playing the violin and busking and that kind of thing. And not many people stopped to kind of notice how good it was, even though they were going to play at whatever, like the Met or something. I don't know, is the Met a place you play in New York? Some big concert thing that people were paying like tons of money to go and see the next day. But you took that person out of context, and while people were like, wow, that's some good playing, it changed the positioning of it dramatically. And so you've got to think about the positioning that you're building into it. And so I recently had one of the personal trainers at the gym we go to, had a talk with him because he did his personal trainer license. He used to work at the gym, like on the desk. He did his personal trainer license, and then he's like trying to get clients, and he was struggling. He's like, how do I make this work? And he realized that he had to slim down for himself and be the picture of what his clients wanted to see. He was like, oh, like he wasn't overweight, but he was not as ripped as he should have been, that his clients were like, oh my God, yeah, I want to be ripped like you. And so by doing that, he started to get a lot more clients and found it a lot easier because of the positioning that he changed. Not that his personal training or anything that he delivered actually changed, or his offer or his pricing, or it was all just about the positioning around it. And so if you think about it, like if you were getting weight loss advice or fitness advice or that kind of thing, who would you trust? Like your uncle who's overweight, and you're like, oh yeah, like you should do this. And it's like, you don't care. It's like, you're overweight. What do you know about getting in shape? Like, or your local personal trainer is the next level, right? Or you might go, well, there's a bodybuilding coach who's competed at a national level. So when we wanted to lose weight and build muscle, one of my clients had competed at Mr. Olympia level and like huge in the bodybuilding world. And it was like, well, getting advice from him over the local personal trainer because he's been there, done that at the highest level and understands all the little nuances in these things. Same like a celebrity trainer or that kind of thing, like outdated example now, but like Jillian Michaels, who did the Biggest Loser shows, was trainer to the celebrities and all that kind of stuff, and then on TV and that kind of thing. So because of her positioning, she'd be able to charge more, and people trust her more than your personal trainer down at the local gym, even though the advice might be exactly the same. And so it's interesting how you change the frame and the positioning, and it can change the message that's being understood in terms of that. And so we have conscious and unconscious signals to the market about the positioning that we're doing. And so it's interesting because I've got the broken arm, right? I have to wear t-shirts at the moment. So me wearing a t-shirt in these videos, and I'm on one of my older t-shirts today because I've gone through my 4 nice newish ones that you'll see in most other videos. I'm like on an older t-shirt that at least it's not ripped or got holes in it, but like that changes the positioning versus when I usually go to an office or work, I'm in a shirt. And so positioning changes because of the way I'm dressing. Some people will see that positioning as like, oh, relaxed and casual, and like Silicon Valley t-shirt, very popular. You go to a bank and no one's going to show up to work at a bank in a t-shirt. And so the context of the positioning can also matter in terms of what that message means. Same with we're doing like 0 to 1 million. So I'm telling you that we're starting at 0 and we're going to 1 million, which is very different positioning to we're already at 1 million, you should do this, or at 10 million or 100 million or that kind of thing. And so the positioning is very different there, and that's why like it's important for you to know over and over again that I've done this before. Like I've helped these other clients go from 0 to 1 million multiple different times, and so there's positioning in that and why, but it needs to be repeated over and over again. And it just sounds like bragging, but it's changing the positioning versus, hey, I'm a 20-year-old who just like started his first business. Like I've been doing this for 25 years. So hopefully that changes the frame in which you listen to me. Maybe not, because I don't have don't have masses of YouTube followers. If I had 1 million followers already, the frame would be very different to having no followers or whatever. Like the small number that I might have, I have no idea what it is, or getting no views on the videos versus getting 1 million views on each video, different, changes the positioning again. Same like the kind of regular guy persona. So it's like, oh, like I guy in a t-shirt, just some regular guy, versus like actually me and my wife are multi-millionaires. We're financially free. We could stop working. I hate that definition type thing, but we could stop working and the money that comes from our assets will pay for our lifestyle, and we could live without working for the rest of our lives, like without raising our living expenses. So that's a different frame, but you look at me and you can't tell that I don't have, like, you can't walk around with your bank statement or your investment portfolio, your balance sheet, I guess, be like, here's my balance sheet, look at this. Like, and even like people who do that, there's a lot of bullshit that people make up, and again, because of the positioning, like people don't believe it anyway. Because I say those things like multi-millionaire and financially free, it can sound arrogant. So that positioning might actually turn off some other people, where it's like, oh, like why does he keep talking about money and stuff? And you shouldn't talk about that. And like, it's just bragging. And it's like, but you've got to think about the positioning for the ideal customer that you want to talk to, and people who are like, no, I get it. I want to listen to this person, and I want to listen to someone who knows what they're talking about, not someone who's behind where I am. And same, like that's why you see or like a lot of YouTube videos and it's like, oh, look at the fancy cars and the private jet, and like those things are positioning statements that help people associate, or like look at my mansion, and all those subtle kind of cues are positioning statements in terms of like, no, I've done this without going, hey, look at my bank balance today or whatever. It's the same like luxury goods. So you don't buy the Rolex because it tells time better than like your little Swatch watch for $20 or whatever they are now. You buy it because when people see a Rolex on your arm, they know you have enough money to buy a Rolex, or at least you're pretending to. And so it changes the positioning of when you walk into a room. And the people who are good know a fake Rolex from like a real one. We were in Malaysia on a trip, and one of the guys had the real, I think it was a Rolex, it was something like that, it was a fancy watch, and he had the real one, and they were just going to buy the fakes, and it's like, where do we get the good fakes, not the bad ones? And they took us out to the shipping container out the back. It was real weird. It's like, oh, we could get, like, am I still going to have a kidney by the end of this? I don't know. But into this shipping container where they had the really good like fakes, which cost more money, but they were really hard to tell the difference. But the dudes in there were like, oh, you got a real Rolex on your wrist, like could tell the difference between the real ones and the fake ones that they were creating because of the experts in that area, right? And so another way, like signaling and that kind of thing, like it's a lot of associations with different people as well. And so if you've been interviewed by someone famous or been on the New York Times interviewed and all those kind of things, like those are all positioning signals. So people say, I write for Forbes, even though probably you can sign up to be a contributor to Forbes and they just take a whole bunch of people to write articles for it to get content at the moment. Like, it's a positioning signal to be like, as seen in Forbes. It's like, okay, wow, you look fancy. And it's like, yeah, the website is full of ads and really frustrating to read. But that's a whole different matter. So that's kind of like the positioning in a nutshell. Think about how the message is being delivered. It's like, the frame that you put around the artwork and whether it increases the value of the art or decreases it in the eyes of your ideal customer. That's the bit you've got to get as well. And the next bit, people talk about the big idea, and so it's a marketing concept that's been around a long time. I rename it for myself to the mental crowbar, because I want to think about how am I going to get put a crowbar in my head and lift my brain up so I can get the message into my brain. And so it just gives me a better kind of visual thing of it, of like, how do I get this message into the brain of the person who is that I want to receive it. And so it's kind of like the gift wrapping on the offer of what you're saying, because if you go out with an offer that everyone's always seen, it's not going to work. So this depends on the maturity of the market as well. If you're in a market that's been around forever, then it's harder to get people to believe it. So if you think about weight loss would be a good example. It used to be able to go, hey, lose 10 pounds, 20 pounds in a week or some stuff like that. And that used to be an offer that used to work well for people like a long time ago, because it was new and people were like, oh, how do I lose that much weight that fast? And then a lot of the weight loss offers are kind of the same format, and it hasn't changed over like decades, where they're just offering the same amount with a random amount of like weight loss versus time it takes. And that's the offer. And so the offer is always kind of normal like that, but it's changes depending on the maturity of the market, how long it's been around, so you have to like gift wrap it. All right, so we'll come back to a weight loss example in a second. So sometimes if you're creating a new category, which as we talked about, star principle, blue ocean strategy, that kind of thing, that can be the big idea. And so when Uber came out, ride sharing was the big idea. And so you could just talk about ride sharing, that was creating a category, and then Uber, being the leader in ride sharing in the US and then other markets that it got to first, was able to grow that category and be the leader in it. So if you're the leader in the category or creating the category, then sometimes that's the big idea, because that changes the positioning. If you're in a category that is well established and mature, so weight loss, it's different because it's hard to create a new category. There's not necessarily a new way to do weight loss. So at the time of filming, there's some weight loss drug that's really big. I don't know what the name is. I haven't really seen that much about it, but the ads are going off because it's a weight loss pill, and so you can lose a whole bunch of weight really, really fast. Weight loss pills have been around for ages, and so they have to wrap that, and I can't speak with authority on the example because I haven't seen their ads or anything like that, but I believe it's tied to a whole bunch of celebrities and that kind of thing, and they're positioning it around that. This is working for celebrities. This works better than any other weight loss pill you've ever tried, and you should try it and look at all these amazing results and stuff. And so generally in weight loss, there isn't new stuff, it's the wrapping of the positioning. So if we go back to some examples I know better, so PX90 was a massive workout by Beachbody, I believe, like a couple of at least 10 years ago, maybe 15, and it came out. And so they position themselves around, oh, everyone tells you how to work out and lose weight easy. This is the hardest weight loss program that you'll ever do, but you'll totally get ripped in the shortest amount of time by doing it. And so they talked about muscle confusion was kind of their positioning and everything they talked about. Like, you got to confuse your muscles by doing all these different workouts. You got to change your workout every single day, and your muscles like, oh my God, I'm so confused. And so they grow bigger and stronger faster. And also that it's just the positioning of like, this is hard. People can't do it. You're never going to make it. Like, was completely different to everyone's like, lose weight while you like watch TV and all that kind of easy thing. They went and positioned it completely the different way of like, this is the hardest thing. You can never do this. You'll not survive. Most people can't do it. And it was like this challenge to people to go out and do it. And so interesting positioning, right? And they changed the frame. They had a big idea around it that changed the frame of what people were thinking about. Now I'm mixing my thing with like frame and gift wrapping and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, V-Shred is also like a workout dude. You might see him on YouTube all the time. I can't remember what his name is. But when they started out, like it was just weight loss programs, right? Vince Saint someone. No shirt, abs, walking around, same weight loss thing that you've seen all the time. But what they talked about was, first, it was about body type. And so they have a body type quiz because they believe that if you're an exomorph or an endomorph or there's a third type that I can't remember, that you'll lose weight better. And so they built that around there. It doesn't matter that is all like fake science, and it doesn't mean, and it's not that they made up the fake science. It was, when you go back in history of fitness and that kind of thing, it's all about, it was a psychology study to try and group body types of people back in, I think it was the 1920s or 30s or something like that, where the personality changed based on the body type, and they used those descriptors of what your body type looked like. What they've since found is this has no basis in science whatsoever in terms of physical makeup, and that you're an exomorph or endomorph or mesomorph, that was the other one. But personal trainers talk about all the time, like it's like really, really important. Even my bodybuilding coach was talking about it, and then I did some research into it. Because another guy, Renaissance Periodization, pointed out that that's all bullshit. I'm like, what? I hear all about it. So I went and looked at it and I was like, oh my God, this is all fake. Okay. So it's not a real thing that people took. And so, but that was their positioning. And so by saying you're doing the wrong exercises and eating the wrong way for your body type, it's like, that's why I can't lose weight. And so that was kind of their mental crowbar, their big idea to get people to go and do their program, do a free quiz, find out your body type, and then we'll sell you the workout program and nutrition plan that's perfect for you based on that body type. Hey, people get their results, then it doesn't really matter, because they're like the placebo effect again. If they're actually losing weight and getting great results from it because they're following the program and that makes them feel better about it, great. Like that's how like some of this stuff works. And the placebo effect is very, very powerful. So it's not knocking what they're doing because they've got a bunch of testimonials and everything. It's just really interesting, the psychology and the marketing behind it. They've since, like, they kind of exhausted the market with that. And so then they had to change their big idea, their mental crowbar of what got into the minds of people. So the latest ads they've been running for, it's probably been about a year, I'd guess, is don't do cardio. And so if you want to lose weight, don't do cardio. And all the ads basically start with that. Or have you heard about this crazy guy who's saying you don't do cardio? And they've just surrounded the market with that. And now their message is like the cardio is the worst way to lose weight. And they imply that it's like bad for you and things like that. I haven't gone through the programs and things like that. They put them onto the body type quiz after that. But it's talking about this idea of like, wait, I can lose weight without having to run, but everyone else makes me run and do all this hard exercise. So it's a completely different way of thinking about it, a different big idea. Like, I want to lose weight without running. That sounds great. And so you're attracting a different type of market. Again, it's that kind of fast and easy results. I can lose weight without spending 30 minutes on a treadmill each day or whatever. And it's actually like, this is more based on science, because the number of calories you burn, like running over a time versus not consuming those calories, like generally nutrition is actually what makes the difference anyway. And so that's my very short fitness advice. But hey, am I a professional bodybuilder? No. So why would you listen to me on that stuff? Anyway, and so you can look at these examples in terms of, if we go back to the offer and the value equation for it as well. So the dream outcome for both of them is to get this super ripped body, right? So you want to look amazing with no shirt. And so that's the dream outcome. The perceived likelihood of results comes down to, well, here's all our testimonials and our results that you've got, and both of PX90 and VShred have all these testimonials and results and before and after pictures of people. So it's like, oh, they can do it, maybe I can do it, great. But then they've flipped the time delay to results. And so PX90 is like the time delay is shorter because you're working really hard, but the effort and sacrifice is like way up. And so you've got to put all this effort in to get it. And so they're making her, like in terms of a value equation, they're making it a worse value and offer by saying you have to work really hard, but that's changed the positioning. And you can see why this is complicated and why all these things interact. Versus like the VShred one, where it's like time delay results is probably similar in terms of you'll get the results in whatever time. They don't talk too specific, but they're removing the effort and sacrifice. And so it's like, you don't have to run anymore. Oh my God, you're going to lose weight without running. It's going to be amazing. So these things all interact, and you need to think about them all and get your positioning and your message right, because you're not going to go 1, 2, 3 in your messaging and be like, oh, I've covered all these things. They intertwine and kind of make a meal. So if you think, I guess, like you think about your meal and you've got your vegan fake steak, vegan steak on one side, and then you got your potatoes, and then you got your vegetables. You've got these 3 components. And so eating just the vegan steak or just your potatoes or just your vegetables can be a little bit boring, but when you mix them all together, it makes a delicious meal, because we like to have that variety and eat in a combination. And so your marketing message is a combination of all these factors and how they fit together. And if you think about it like a stool with 3 legs on it, if one of the legs is broken, then the stool isn't going to stand up. So you've got to make sure that all are perfect. You could have the perfect weight loss offer that actually gets results, and it's got a 100% success rate backed by scientific studies. But if you've got this homeless person walking up to people on the street offering it, the positioning is not going to work. So it doesn't matter how good it is. There was a marketing guy, I don't know who it was, I can't remember what book I read this in, but a long time ago, put an ad in the newspaper. It was like free $100 notes. Just send me in your address and I'll send you $100 for free. Because he wanted to test whether an irresistible offer like that would work without kind of proof, and how believability played a factor in it. And guess how many people wrote in to get their free $100? 0. And so no one believed it. It was too good to be true. It's like, this must be a scam. Why would someone do something for free? Or give me $100 for free? Oh, that must be bad. And so no one actually applied to it, even though he was fully going to send out $100 as a thing. So you've got to get all these different components right, otherwise it's not going to work. So in summary, get your offer right to make sure that you're delivering a lot of value and you're ticking all the boxes in the value equation, giving people their dream outcome, high perceived likelihood of results, minimizing the time delay, and minimizing the effort and sacrifice normally, but see how PX90 changed that. Then your positioning, where the message coming from, what kind of frame are you putting it in to make sure that people believe the message that they have, like that's your kind of perceived likelihood of results. But perception and these kind of things change up and down as well. So make sure that you got your positioning right. And then your big idea. If you're in a mature market that's seen a lot of stuff and you're not a brand new category with a completely new idea, how do you turn, like, kind of break your, what do I want to say, diverge your category into smaller pieces? So there's like weight loss, and then it's like weight loss doing super hard workouts, and PX90 is the leader in that. Weight loss without doing cardio, and then VShred is the leader in that. And so they're kind of using that big idea to break down the category into smaller ideas by using that big idea. And then while they're a leader in that category, they can also bring in new big ideas along the way as well. And it freshens up your marketing over time. So hopefully that all makes sense. Offer, positioning, big idea, or mental crowbar, as I like to say. And it will help get your marketing message into people's heads, because they are already getting like 100 ads a day and ignoring most of them. So how do you get the right person to listen to your one? Those 3 things. All right, have a good day. Enjoy.